What's going on, STR Nation? Welcome back to another Tuesday with Mike and Mike. And today we decided to share a clip from a live webinar training that we did a couple weeks back, where we did a deep dive on how to launch, automate, and scale a short-term rental business. And one of the topics that we covered was how to choose a profitable market, and specifically the 9 different traveler profiles. And we got a lot of feedback on that section. People were like, wow, I never even thought of this type of traveler or this type of traveler. So we want to share that with you guys and include this clip. So again, we're going to talk about how to choose a profitable market by understanding who you can serve in those types of markets. So enjoy this clip. Okay. So the first piece, how do you find a profitable market? Okay. The first thing I want you guys to think of is, what are the reasons that people travel? And go ahead and throw it in the chat. I'll pull up the chat here in just a second. What are the different reasons that people travel? I'm going to give it a second. I want you guys engaged here. The more you guys engage, the more you're going to get out of it. So think logically. What are the reasons why people travel? Vacation? Yep. What else? Healthcare? Yep. Events, business, seeing family, work. What else we got? I want to see at least 2 more before we keep going. Vacations, yep. Stay near family, getaway, I think that's supposed to say. Okay, cool. Yep, those are all good answers. Those are all valid. So there's actually 9 different reasons why people travel. I'm going to skip over this for a second. The 9 reasons why people travel, okay? 1 is vacationing, which is probably the most obvious. The next is business. Okay, more and more people are going to Airbnb for business travel. The next is medical, right? I'm fortunate that I live near Boston, one of the best medical centers on the planet. But when we were there were people from all over the world at that hospital, right? So it could be patients, it could be traveling nurses, it could be traveling doctors, certain specialists that need to come in to do some type of testing. Anywhere around a medical facility is great. You got academic. So again, colleges, universities, parents going to visit, traveling professors, guest speakers, all that kind of stuff. But beyond colleges, there's also different trade schools, like a cosmetology or a nursing school that might be 13 weeks. And it's a lot more economical to stay in a home than it is to stay in a hotel room for that period of time. So anywhere near an academic institution is great. Life events. A bunch of people said to stay near family. I had my team go back and analyze all of our bookings for the past couple of years. And what I found was 60% of the bookings were actually just general life events. So I live just outside of Boston. My brother, he lives down in Athens, Georgia now. So a few times a year, we go visit him, or he comes to visit us, whether it's a holiday, a birthday, a wedding, a funeral, whatever it is, just general life events that people are going to visit family or do different things back where they grew up. Then you have entertainment. Somebody said a sporting event. Yep. You've got like major sports, you've got concerts, you have music festivals, you have all sorts of different types of entertainment, casinos, whatever it is, anywhere near some type of entertainment is great for short-term rentals. Military bases. I was going to say, I don't think anybody did, but I think somebody got it. Yeah. Mike Riley, that's cheating. You threw in military. He knows this stuff, but yeah, military bases. Again, because people get relocated or family go to visit, a lot of times there's not options on base. Or like my little cousin just graduated from the Coast Guard Academy. He's stationed at a base up in New Hampshire, but he doesn't have the rank yet to live on base. So he's from Virginia. He had to fly up. And then while he was looking for an apartment, he stayed at an Airbnb for a week. So anywhere near military bases is great for short-term rentals. Then you've got emergency. Okay. This is, unfortunately, bad stuff happen, right? Like houses burn down, or a flood happens, or a hurricane, or a tornado, or something crazy happens, and people need to get out of their house for a bit to have their house fixed up, or they lose power for an extended period of time, whatever it is, forest fires in California, anything crazy like that, those things happen, and those people need a place to stay for a while. And then the last one, similar to that vein, is just relocation, right? So like my son's teacher, her husband just took a job in Texas. They had to fly down to Texas. They rented an Airbnb for a couple of weeks while they looked for an apartment, right? Or they're relocating because they're doing renovations on a home, or whatever reason, they're just relocating and they need a place to stay, and staying in a short-term rental is way more economical than staying in a hotel room. They'll have their own laundry facility, the full kitchen, they can cook their own meals. It could be a 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom house instead of getting 2, 3, 4 hotel rooms. It's just way more economical and just easier when you're traveling like that. The next step to think through is, how do you run the numbers? Okay. Mike and I were talking about this earlier today. We see so many people that buy a property and they have no idea how it's going to do. Like, they literally just say, okay, this is a nice place, let's buy it, and then just hope for the best. From now on, your new identity after being on this webinar, you are all real estate investors. And real estate investing is all about knowing your numbers before you execute on a deal. Okay. So there is a site called AirDNA. And don't worry, we're going to hook you guys up with a bunch of resources at the end. So take some notes, but if you miss anything, it's fine. We'll give you guys all this good stuff at the end. But there's a site called AirDNA. And what they do is they pull all the data from Airbnb and VRBO, actual like historical occupancy rates, average nightly rates, and revenue that properties in your market have done over the last 12, 24, 36, and 48 months. So you can go back over time and see, how has this market performed? How have all the 2 bedrooms done? How have the 3 bedrooms, 4 bedrooms, whatever size property you're looking for, how is it done? And it has a bunch of tools and data in here that we can go in and analyze that market. So we're going to know how much this property is going to bring in before we even put an offer on the deal. Okay. And then we use our deal analyzer to go in, plug in the revenue, and then we go in and we estimate all the expenses. Okay. And again, you guys hang with us till the end. We'll give you a link. I'll even give you my deal analyzer for free. So just hang on, just pay attention, take some notes, and just think. Vinny asked, what about Mashvisor? I really don't like Mashvisor. I feel like their data is off. Like, it doesn't make sense. Their returns don't make sense to me. So I recommend AirDNA. That's who we use. Good question though. So let's look at a couple case studies. Okay. So here's a case study of a property that we have in Salem, Massachusetts. It's about 45 minutes north of Boston. So you can see Boston up here on the top section of your screen. And then this is Salem, okay, over here. The property is this little green box. So let's look and think back to those different reasons why people travel, okay? So thinking about vacationing or visiting people, whatever. It's 45 minutes outside of Boston with traffic, but it's about a 5-minute walk to this train station that takes you directly into Boston in about 30 minutes. It's maybe a 4-minute walk to all the bars and restaurants downtown. You have all of these local attractions. If you're not familiar with Salem, it's where the witch trials happened many, many years ago. So there's a lot of history and a lot of museums and things like that that people go to, especially around October. But there's also a hospital and a state university. Now, these aren't particularly huge hospital. This isn't a huge hospital or like a huge state university, but they're still here. Okay, so just bear all of this information in mind. And let's look at some actual numbers. So I met this guy, we'll just call him John. He was renting out this 2-bedroom in-law apartment for about $2,000 a month. He lives in this front section, beautiful, like 1800s brick home. And then back here is a little 2-bedroom apartment. He was renting out for $2,000 as a long-term rental. And I was like, listen, man, this property is beautiful. It's in a good location downtown. Like, I'm telling you, you should just furnish this and run it as a short-term rental. So we helped him furnish it, get it up and running for him. And in his first year as a short-term rental, only on Airbnb, this property did just under $60,000 in revenue. His additional expenses were $11,000. So like cleaning fees, supplies, stuff like that. So his profit was $48,000. The income doubled in its first year. Okay. And he invested about $10,000 to furnish it. Okay. This year, that property's, I think it's at $94,000 in revenue, like year to date. It's bananas. Okay. Here's another one. This was probably the smallest and least revenue property. So I want to give you a good one and then like worst case scenario. Okay. So this was a tiny 1-bedroom apartment, like no frills. It's a very, very small 1-bedroom. You've got the kitchen here, little bedroom behind it, and then a bathroom here off to the left. He was renting this out for $1,300 a month. In its first year, this property did $33,000 in revenue. Cleaning and supplies and everything was $5,500. His profit was 27,000, just under 28,000. So he'd made an extra $1,000 a month in his first year, which was a 78% increase. This is actually Mike's first. This is your first one, right, Mike? Yeah. So this is Mike's first property that he got. He bought this property for $260,000. He put $64,000 of his own money into it between down payments, upgrades, furnishings, all that good stuff. Its first year on Airbnb, this thing made $103,000 in revenue. His expenses, including mortgage, utilities, everything, was $48,000. He profited almost 55 grand off of one deal. That's $4,500 a month in cash flow and a 91% return on his money on one deal. Right? So going back and thinking through, the average long-term rental makes $300 to $400 a month in profit. Mike did $4,500 a month in profit. And this thing is still chugging along, making them boatloads of money. So just to give you some different context, you had a couple apartment style. This is more of a vacation style property, but the revenue is there. Okay. One of the questions that people say is like, yeah, but I live in the middle of nowhere. Okay. Edna, she's one of my students. She was more on the multifamily side. She was a syndicator. She's got a bunch of apartment buildings, but she's literally in the middle of nowhere. She's in Osler, Saskatchewan, Canada, which has a population of 1,237 people. She converted 9 of her units and increased her income by 67%, literally in the middle of nowhere. So I promise you, like, this model works. I've literally seen it around the world in big cities, tiny villages, vacation towns, wherever the model works. The thing to keep in mind is who are the travelers that you can attract, and then thinking through how can I design my property to attract those types of people. Okay. Next. And go ahead, Mike.
I was just going to say real quick, most people do it backwards. Most people pick the market and then they design it to the way they want to design it to. And then they're like, all right, I don't know who I'm attracting now. You know, so you gotta build, you gotta start with, all right, who do I want to attract? Who are my target guests? And then pick your market and then design your property. So something to keep in mind there.
Hey, hope you enjoyed that clip from that webinar training that Mike and I put together. Remember, if you want to get your STR Secret Starter Pack free resources, including our deal analyzer and free trainings on how to analyze markets and a whole bunch of good stuff, just text the word resources to 978-242-0001. Again, it's text resources to 978-242-0001. Take care, everybody. See you next time.